You're looking at a Dresser Atlas logging truck, circa 1985. This was my old base in Marietta, Ohio. We lived in Parkersburg, West Virginia. It's an open hole case tow logging truck. It was actually a Birdwell truck, and we were purchased about that time by Dresser Atlas. So we converted a lot of our stuff over to Dresser Atlas equipment. Here we are backing our truck. This truck, as I said, basically did both things. It did both open hole and cased hole activities. We were a one truck shop, so we serviced most of West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania even, all over. It was just an amazing amount of coverage that we did. It was shallow hole country. Typically wells weren't much more than 6,000 feet deep. You're looking at the back of the truck now. It's about 20,000 feet of 3/16 inch line, and the truck weighed about 24,000 pounds if I recall. Here's one of the cased hole racks basically. You can see some steel carriers on there, and you can even see our super duper bullet guns. We had E-guns, they were called. Here we have a shot of the radiation area. This little source is a cesium-137, and the bigger sources are plutonium sources for the neutron tools. They were kept in a corner of the shop.
I've seen it.
Now we're inside the logging truck. That's me getting in, and my fellow engineer there. We only had two engineers there, Rich Mall. As you can see, the equipment was pretty old, but it worked pretty well. It was built by Raytheon. It's a 16-bit processor, all computerized. Now we had a mixture of computerized equipment and analog equipment. All of the data was actually loaded off of tape, as you can see. And over the years of working with that, you can see me basically switching out tapes very, very fast. In fact, it got to be second nature. You could probably flip tapes within a few seconds, as you can see here. I wish I could do that. It reminded me of my old 16mm projectors. Yep, already up and running. So here we are probably loading an operating system. We were at that time testing different operating systems. Boy, that brings back a lot of memories. Can you imagine doing tape operations now? We're operating off of a teletype machine there. It had an RS-232 interface. The computer itself was, my understanding, was from an M1 tank. Raytheon had a defense contract, and so it was a very, very, very rugged computer. Never had the slightest little problem with it. It was just amazing. We also had something unique, which was called dry silver printers. They actually would develop themselves by heat platen, and so we never had to worry about working inside of a dark room, which is a typical logging operation at that time, which I actually did. We had another truck that you actually had to develop all the film with. You can see here we are switching. I'm switching over to depth panels, getting the depth running, and doing a log playback. Here we see an open hole log. Looks like a density neutron gamma ray caliper. We got two density curves. One's a porosity curve, and one's just a raw density curve. You can see the correction curve there on the left. Totally black and white, or green and black, however you want to call it back then. Here we can see the depth counter up there at the work. We had magnetic markers that we could use to calibrate the depth as it stretched. The panels below that are power. Those are provided power down to the tools. There's a scintillation panel there for a little microphone. That's an interesting story. There's a count rate meter for a neutron, count rate meter for the density. That's a count rate meter, so that's like the short space counting for the density. And here we are looking again at the back of the truck. You can see basically the winch area. The winchman was one of our operators, and he would work it back there. He had that handle on the left was all hydraulic. Everything was hydraulic, no gears, plus a wheel to handle the spooler and depth control overhead.